Well, the music I'm into just good music. You know, when people ask that question to me, there's two kinds of music. There's good music and there's bad music, you know. I love kind of everything. I love R&B, I love hip hop, I love house music, I love techno music. As far as my DJing career, I mean, I've always loved house music and techno music and underground sounds especially. I was very much influenced by Chicago and Detroit sound. So that's really my sound that I kind of take all over the world and represent. I've been doing this, wow, let me think about it, about 15, 16 years. 15, 16 years. I walked into a club on 7 Mile a really long time ago by the name of Heaven, where Ken Collier was playing, and I fell in love with house music before I could even speak English, you know, and ever since then I've just been enchanted by this beautiful music and making people dance, which is what I love to do. In Europe, I think people are a lot more open-minded and they love the sound that's coming out of America, you know. People in Europe are not very jaded by the radio station or television music that's really hardcore, just pushed up on people here, and that's how people develop their liking. You know, people here walk into the club and they want to hear what's on the radio. In Europe, that is never the case. You want to go and you want to play the latest and the hottest underground tracks that you cannot hear anywhere else, and that's what really truly is of value there, you know. Originally, what I saw was real soulful, just real melody driven, still 4 to the floor, but a lot of melody, a lot of vocals and things like that. That's what I fell in love with, and that was a lot of the Chicago sound. And I would actually drive to Chicago and go to Steve Silk Hurley and Earl Pleasure and Ralphie Rosario, because that's the sound I was into. Detroit at that time was very much driven by sort of edgier and harder Derek May parties and Kevin Saunderson and Juan's parties and Richie Houghton parties, which was always a little bit angrier for me, you know, and I'm sort of like a happy kind of a girl, you know. Even though I enjoyed it and I appreciate it, I was still driven more by the melody and the dance and the sweatiness and a little bit less of the anger, even though, I mean, I still love the Detroit sound. And then it's sort of, as technology progressed, the sound has progressed. At one point it became very minimal, which for me it has sort of lost its soul, and that's the music that was coming out of Europe. Detroit, in its sense, though, always kind of stayed true to its sound, even though when the technology progressed, you know, the new guys that are coming up, you know, then you had now it's Kyle Hall, and then throughout the time you had Delano Smith making music, Stacy Poulin was in the second wave. All those guys kind of stayed true to the Detroit sound, and they always kept that soul, because I think soul is what makes the music that comes out of here is different. It's got the soul, you know. Being a woman in this business in particular, I think you have to work a lot harder, because you're sort of judged, oh, you know, can she mix, or, you know, wow, really she's from Detroit, but I look like a little white Russian girl, you know, but I grew up here, you know, that is my sound and this is what I love. So you get judged a lot, but you know, the point is, once you get up there and you deliver, it no longer matters. So, and I think that goes for everybody. Starting out, DJs or women, don't be discouraged. Who cares? You got the gig, you deliver, you know what you're doing, screw them. It doesn't really matter, you know. You're gonna get judged in life regardless of what you do. My big project right now is called Girls Gone Vinyl, and that's a documentary that takes and goes around the world, and that's the documentary that talks about female side of the DJ business. And one of my subjects is the godmother of Detroit house music, Stacey Hotwix Hale, and I basically just go around the world and talk to women. And filmmaking is my new passion, but to me, creativity, any sort of creative things, making things come to life and living a positive footprint, you know, so people could be inspired. And I'm very passionate about Detroit. I'm a big sort of person who speaks out on behalf of Detroit, because I could live anywhere in the world, but I choose to live here. And that's the bottom line, because I love this city.